Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are continuing our series on the absolute basics of the TI84. Today we are going to cover one of the most important features on this calculator, graphing. By the end of the video, you'll know how to use the Y equal tab to enter equations, how to fix your graph window, and how to find exact points on your graph. To get started, look at the very top row of buttons on your calculator. Press the top left button that says Y equals. This brings you to a list where you can type multiple equations all at once. Let's first start by typing in a basic parabola, y equals x squared minus 4. A really common mistake most people make at first is by typing alpha and then x at the bottom here, but we want to use the dedicated variable button up here with the x, t, theta, and n. Now the reason there's 4 variables here is because, as we discussed previously, in the mode menu, there's 4 different modes for function, parametric, polar, and sequence. That's why there's 4 variables. But when you're in function mode, when you press this variable button, it will output an x. So going back to our y equals, you type x, and then to raise it to the power of 2, you use this button, and then press 2. You arrow key to the right, and then let's do minus 4. Now that your equation is typed in, look at the top right button that says graph. Press that and your calculator will draw the parabola on the screen. Now, sometimes when you press graph, it will bring you to a screen where you can't see your full parabola or any of it at all. So, most of the time, to fix this, you can press zoom and then the 6th option, which is Z standard, just by pressing the button 6. This will bring you back to a standard grid with a domain from -10 to +10 and a range from -10 to +10. But if you ever need to manually adjust the screen size to see a larger graph, just click Window, and you can manually adjust the X-min, X-max for the width, and Y-min and Y-max for the height. For example, let's just take the Y-max, for example, and let's make it 50. Now, when we click Graph, it will have a higher range so we can see more of our parabola. The next thing to cover is how to find points on your graph. You might be tempted to press trace and scroll along the graph with your arrow keys, but this usually results in messy decimals. To fix this, just press any number on the keypad after you press trace. For example, 5. This will input when x equals 5, so you press enter and it will say y equals 21. You can just do this with another number, say 3, press enter, and it will output what y is when x equals 3. Next, we're going to look into the Calculate menu. As you can see, the Calculate menu is this blue text above the Trace button, so we click Second and Trace to get to the menu. The 4 things we're going to look at are 0, minimum, maximum, and intersect. Starting off with the 0, which is the second option, scroll down and click Enter. Now what 0 does is it allows us to find the point where our graph crosses the x-axis. So let's try to find this point, for example. It's going to ask us 3 questions. What is the left bound? That means we're going to scroll our cursor so it is to the left of the point we desire to find. So that looks left of this point, so we're going to click enter. Then it's going to ask for the right bound. We take the right arrow key, scroll it to the right of the point we desire to find, click enter. Now it's going to ask us for just a general guess. Let's move our cursor to where we think the point is about, and then finally click enter, and it's going to give us what the point is where the graph crosses the x-axis at x equals 2. Now going back to the Calculate menu by clicking Second Trace, the next part we're going to look at is the minimum and the maximum. Essentially, these do the same thing, but in our case, we want to use the minimum because our parabola opens upward. So going back to our Calculate menu, let's scroll down to minimum and click enter. It's going to ask us the same 3 questions. What is the left bound? So we scroll our cursor over to the left of the minimum and click enter. Then right bound, we scroll our cursor over to the right of the minimum, click enter, and then it asks for the guess. So we're going to get our cursor as close to the point as we think we can get and click enter, and it will give us the exact minimum of the graph in the range that we selected, where x equals 0 and y equals -4 in this case. The last thing we're going to cover today is the intersection between 2 graphs. This is the last section of the Calculate menu, and to do this, we need 2 equations. So let's go back to the y equals and type in another equation in y2. So scroll down and then type in x plus 2, again using the dedicated variable button for x. And then let's hit graph again so we can see both lines. Now I pressed zoom standard again so we could see this more clearly. So what we're going to do is click second trace to get to the calculate menu, and then we're going to scroll down to intersect, which is option 5, and click enter. So it's going to ask us what our first curve is. Now we can scroll up and down between our, in this case, red and blue curves, which is y1 and y2. So first curve, let's select y1. Second curve, select y2. And then it's going to ask for another guess. So say we want to find the intersection right here at this point. Let's use the right arrow to scroll over to where we think that intersection is about, and then click enter, and it will give us the intersection point between the two graphs at x equals 3 and y equals 5. So that's it for today's video covering the y equals tab and graphing basics. Next video, we'll be covering the stat section and learning how to use lists to organize data. See you then.